Coming up on the bench, Syracuse football has a Thursday night primetime showdown just around the corner against number 19 Pittsburgh. We'll give you some of our hottest takes about the game, and Syracuse sideline reporter Tim Leonard joins us in studio to recap how the Orange got to this point.
He's not the only guest tonight. We're 4 days away from seeing Syracuse men's hoops in live action. We'll get you everything you need to know ahead of the season, including a sneak peek at our exclusive sit-down with second-year head coach Adrian Autry.
Plus, Syracuse women's soccer season is winding down, and the Orange are still searching for their first points in ACC play. They had a good chance to break a 7-match losing streak this week against NC State. And on the men's side of things, SU came into this week on a three-game winning streak before facing a red-hot UVA squad. Did the Orange keep the good times rolling?
Ranked opposition on the schedule, you say? How about that for both Cuse Volleyball and Cuse Women's Ice Hockey? Could the volleyball team pick up a first conference win? And could the hockey team win on the road for the first time this year? We'll tell you all that and more as On the Bench starts right now.
Welcome in On the Bench on this Tuesday evening from our CitrusTV studio. Ryan Bridges and Andrew Selover here with you, back with you for the first time. And man, Andrew, it's been some weeks.
It's time to get back in the saddle, Ryan. Let's do it. Lots going on the Hill.
Lots going on the Hill. That means some more headlines of the week. Let's begin with a Syracuse football player getting some recognition in spite of the bye week. Defensive tackle Murad Watson was named to the 24/7 Sports midseason freshman All-America team. Watson has more defensive snaps at defensive tackle than any other true freshman in the entire country. In 6 games this season, he's accumulated 10 tackles and a sack while starting 4 games.
And Ryan, tonight the NBA season kicks off, and while the Celtics are raising another banner, there's also some news with some Syracuse men's basketball alums. Let's check out all the latest headlines. Notably, Cole Swider headed to the Pistons on a 2-way after he was cut a few days ago by the Pacers. Elijah Hughes will begin the season in the G League, and that's expected to be the landing spot for Judah Mintz as well after he was waived by the 76ers.
Now, Syracuse football underwent quite the change this offseason in the first year of the Fran Brown era. And we've seen that play out for about 6 games now. There's been some highs and there's been some lows, and that calls for an assessment of the team midway through the season. For more on that, Andrew Selover is now at the wall with Syracuse sideline reporter Tim Leonard.
Ryan, we've got a very special guest joining us here in the CitrusTV studios, actually a CitrusTV alum. It's Tim Leonard. He's also Syracuse football's sideline reporter. First, Tim, welcome back into the studio.
Amazing to be back here. It's like I fast-forwarded in time, and I'm right back here. Studio looks the same. Great to see you guys doing the great work, keeping up the good standard here, so it's awesome.
Not much has changed, I'm sure, since you last stepped foot in the studio. Let's talk about Syracuse football. Halfway mark of the season at 5-1. And let's start with everybody's favorite, Kyle McCord. For you, offensively, with this offense and McCord at quarterback, what is it that you've seen that's allowed McCord to gel so much with that deep wide receiver room?
Yeah, I think it's the deep wide receiver room for one. I've been surprised, honestly, at how good Kyle McCord has been, which is weird to say because I think we all expected Kyle McCord to be very good, but and the offensive line has been a little bit shaky at times, but when you have McCord back there, it really doesn't matter. So they have a very deep receiving group. I feel like offensively, it's been more of a pass-heavy approach than maybe we were guessing from Syracuse, but they're almost passing to incorporate the run game and guys like LaQuinn Allen a little bit more. And honestly, it's just if you have Kyle McCord back there, Syracuse is going to win a lot of games. It'd be favored to win a lot of games. And it's been a while since a Syracuse quarterback has been better than pretty much every other quarterback on the schedule, but this year they have that with Kyle McCord.
I know that plenty of people have talked about Kyle McCord, and he's only spending 1 year here in Syracuse. For you, is that maybe an approach that Syracuse takes down the line, is trying to bring a transfer in the quarterback room every year?
Yeah, I saw Pat Narduzzi, the Pittsburgh coach, mention the stat 66% of quarterbacks now transfer at least once. And I haven't fact-checked him on that stat, but I'm sure it's ballpark right around there. So it feels like every year now in the ACC, you've got 5, 6, 7 quarterbacks that are transfer guys, like Pitt's quarterback Eli Holstein. this week. I think Syracuse is going to try to attack it that way each and every year. They like the options they have as the backup quarterback this year, but if you're Fran Brown and you were successful with Kyle McCord last year, I don't see why you wouldn't go back to the transfer portal this year.
Defensively for Syracuse, that's where they've had a couple injuries this year, especially on the defensive line. Where do you see this team going down the road to try and keep that defensive line strong?
I think Justin Barron moving to linebacker has been a smart move by the coaching staff. He played obviously great in the last couple of weeks here. If you get Marlowe Wax back, you feel better about the defense. That's kind of gone under the radar maybe, that Syracuse is sitting 5-1 and they don't have their leader defensively, who at the start of the year, if you would have said Kyle McCord, and then after him, who can you not lose to injury? It would have been Marlowe Wax, and they still have been fine. Defensive line-wise, though, it's just by committee, I feel like, because of what Fran has been preaching from day one is let's be competitive, let's rotate bodies in and out there, and Murad Watson has, of course, stepped up, and he got some freshman All-American buzz this week, so I think it's just trying to stay competitive on those reps in practice and make sure that all guys are ready to go on the defensive line.
You mentioned Wax and his injury, still maybe a week or two away from returning for Syracuse. Is that something that you think Justin Barron immediately back to Rover, or will you maybe see Barron stay at the linebacker for some
That's a great question. Honestly, I think Barron at linebacker has looked so good that they probably should still use him in that role some. We'll see. I think now that you know he's an option there and he's been wearing the green dot helmet some and it's been relaying the play calls, he learned that role. I don't see why you wouldn't rotate there, but I think this defensive system, they're comfortable rotating in bodies, whether it's what we've seen from Elijah Robinson and what he does with Fadil Diggs, moving him from a 3-down guy to, playing more of a linebacker role. So I would expect Barron will probably play some rover, or probably play some linebacker, but I don't see why you would just totally remove him from the linebacker spot the way he's been playing.
Fran Brown has talked about breaking the season down into quarters, and he talks about, you go first 3 games, next 3 games. They just won the 3 for 3 in the second quarter. Now you start the third quarter. Is there one area that you think this team desperately needs to improve on, or they're really focused on going into the next 3 games?
I think it's got to be special teams, right? I mean, as much as they have been successful in their 5-1, they're doing it despite very poor special teams to this point in the year. So special teams is an obvious answer. And then I think the offensive line. I think Kyle McCord has been tremendous, and the book on him from Ohio State was, he's not great under pressure. He's kind of proved that wrong with some of the stats and just the eye test of how he's looked when he's been pressured. But a lot of these teams they're playing over the final 6 weeks of the season are very good at getting to the quarterback, Pittsburgh being one of them. So I think Syracuse has been a little lucky in terms of how defenses have lined up, and they haven't really gotten to McCord. Like Georgia Tech, for example, is not a team that rushes the passer. We're going to see them go against teams that are a little bit more, defensive line focused. So that's going to be interesting how the offensive line holds up. But, I say that. The offensive line I didn't think was great against NC State, and Kyle McCord still threw the ball all over the place and had 300 yards again.
And the Orange have managed to play better football on the road this year than they have in recent memory. Tim, always great to have you back here at CitrusTV. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
We'll send it back to Ryan for more breakdown on the next matchup for Syracuse football at Pittsburgh.
All right, Andrew, always a pleasure to have a former on-the-bench anchor back in studio. Tim will be on the sidelines on Thursday. Another man who will be at Acrisure Stadium is our CitrusTV reporter for the game, Sam Corcoran. And Sam, me and the producers were thinking in the back, you got Sam Corcoran, you combine it, it makes Scorch. What do you think of the name?
It's all right. I appreciate it. I love y'all thinking about me, so I'll take the name.
All right, well, we made a game for you. We're going to see how these takes that I'm about to throw out at you fit on the Scorch meter. The first statement I got for you, Kyle McCord will go over 300 passing yards on Thursday.
Andrew, I think that's a pretty easy question. That's a cold take, and that's going to happen. Look, Kyle McCord has done that in his previous 6 games, and it's going to be no different for Pittsburgh. Syracuse heavily relies on their pass offense. Meanwhile, Pitt's run defense is one of the best in the ACC. So you put those two to get one and one together, of course they're going to rely on the pass offense even more. Not to mention Kyle McCord and Syracuse, they've been throwing the ball a lot this year. No Trevor Pena will be a little tough for SU, but I don't see why that's the reason that Kyle McCord can't get it done. He's going to throw well over 300 yards, and if Syracuse wants to win this game, they're going to have to rely on Kyle McCord.
I don't know what it is. I feel like I'm feeling the AC a little bit more in here now all of a sudden. Kyle McCord has thrown for over 300 passing yards, 6 games. That ties a single season record for Syracuse. He goes over it again. He obviously breaks that record. Let's talk about a guy, though, that's been red hot for the Panthers. Running back Desmond Reed. He will go over 200 scrimmage yards on Thursday.
Ryan, you said turn up the heat. Let's do that. Scorching hot meter. You see my face go up the thermometer right there. 200 yards is a lot, Ryan. Now, Desmond Reed has done it twice this season, but Syracuse's defense is frankly just better than that. Last game against NC State, the Orange held NC State to a pretty low number of yards. Pitt, meanwhile, against UNC, that's one of the games that Desmond Reed had those 200 yards, total scrimmage yards. Not the best defense overall. I just think Syracuse's defense is too good for this. And Desmond Reed, he'll have a good game. He's going to cause issues for Syracuse, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, 200 yards, that's absurd, Ryan.
A lot of yards for the running back. He certainly could do it against the Syracuse defense that's, looked a little suspect at times this season. All right, last one for you. We've talked a little bit of Syracuse. We talked a little bit about Pitt. Let's talk about the game in general. When the line opened in Vegas, it was around 4 points favoring the Panthers. Now they're favored by almost a touchdown at -6. What do you think?
Let's move the face down just slightly a little bit to mild. It's not, I don't love this spread. I also don't hate it for Pitt. Overall, I think this is going to be a very close game. It's going to be a one-score game. Syracuse and Pitt, you look at the stats. Their offenses are one of the best in the ACC. Their defense is kind of the middle of the pack. It does not get more evenly matched than that. And Syracuse could win this game easily. That's why I don't think this is the best spread. I think it will be a little bit closer, but Vegas did get it right. This will be a one-score game. It'll be a bloodbath, a fight to the death. At the end of the day, get the popcorn ready, guys. Get the popcorn ready, Ryan. You're in for some entertaining football.
All right. Well, I'm excited to see you on after the game on Orange Press Pass. You can tune in at 12:30 Friday morning if you're still up by then. But follow him on X at @the_Sam Corcoran for all live updates throughout the contest of that one. When we come back on the bench, though, it's hoop season on the Hill. Our Carson Fowler sat down with Adrian Autry at Men's Basketball Media Day. That and more after the break.
Come on, it's not that hard.
My big man fingers are having a problem with these little tiny buttons.
Whoa, watch it there. Your blood pressure's gonna go through the roof.
Tell me about it. I'm trying to learn how to get it down. Instead, it keeps going up.
High blood pressure can increase the risk for heart attack or stroke. Learn how to keep yours at a healthy range.
Ever hear a voice command? Just say text barbershop to 97779.
That's not what I said.
Just give me that. Now my blood pressure's up.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
Glad to have you back here on the bench. Andrew Selover, Ryan Bridges, and I know the 80 degrees outside here in Syracuse, Ryan, might not show it, but basketball season inching closer and closer. First exhibition this Saturday, if you can believe it.
Yeah, there's so much talk about the offseason, and the offseason feels so long with the new era of college sports, but it's finally here.
It is here. Clarion in the Dome on Saturday, first exhibition, but last weekend was Syracuse Men's Hoops Media Day, and CitrusTV was on the scene as usual. King of the Courts Carson Fowler was there for an exclusive sit-down with second-year head coach Adrian Autry. Let's take a sneak peek.
Coach, I'll ask you this. You did a lot of things right last season, but you struggled a little bit defensively. You're among the worst teams in the ACC. You got away from the Boeheim zone. What sort of identity are you guys trying to build on defense this season?
Obviously, I thought we had a good stretch. If I recall, I think we had a top 50 defense up until January, and then once Naheem went down, I thought that hurt us. We had to play smaller, but obviously to be consistent, to be up in, the top top teams in the country defensively. You know, we want to get after people. We want to make people play fast. We want to be able to get up and down. Obviously, tempo, possessions. You know, that's something that we did do last year. But we got to be able to keep people out of the lane and rebound the ball. I thought rebounding was the biggest thing that we had to address. And obviously, when we went to the portal to pick up Eddie and Jair, those are the things that we were on our mind. And even our wings, you know, Lucas is a good rebounder, and even down to Jaquan Carlos, who's a good rebounder. You know, we wanted to kind of address rebounding in every position on the floor.
You mentioned some of the guys you went and got out of the transfer portal, some bigger guys. You really guys lacked some size last year. Talk about how you guys are going to play around with some lineups. Probably the ability to go big and go small really can help you guys next season.
Yeah, I mean, we have some unique lineups that we can go to. We can go really big and be physical. We can kind of go small and be really skilled. So, you know, we have a lot of different options, and so we're just still working through those things. You know, at the end of the day, you know, we do have some versatility, and I like the roster. You know, that's how I wanted to build the roster. You know, because when you play in this league, you know, you're playing against different matchups every game.
Coach, what do you want Orange fans to know about your team in year 2?
You know, I think this team will go out. You guys will be happy to see this team. We will fight. We're going to defend. We're going to rebound. And, you know, I think we've addressed some shooting. So I think it's going to be an exciting year, an exciting brand of basketball. I think we have all the answers to the test. So I'm just excited to get the season started. So it should be an exciting season.
Thanks to Adrian Autry for taking the time. Make sure to stay locked into Citrus TV's YouTube channel for the basketball preview show. Will be coming out before the start of the regular season. The second-year headman has a lot of pieces to move around on his depth chart, and to tell you more about that and who might stand out for the Orange, Andrew is at the wall with our Cuse Countdown analyst, Sam Reis.
That's right, Ryan, over here with Sam Reis. Welcome inside the Citrus TV studios. Sam, welcome on the bench.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Happy to be here, fired up for hoop season.
I love the energy because hoop season is basically here, as we've explained. Yep. Let's talk about a new-look Syracuse team in year 2 under Adrian Autry. I think the guy that everybody is curious to see on Saturday in the exhibition is that top recruit in this class, Donnie Freeman. Yep. Highest recruit for Syracuse since Mello, and that was a guy that helped win a national championship here. So maybe not national championships, but,
sure.
But what does Donnie Freeman bring to this team?
Yeah, Andrew, a lot of excitement regarding Freeman, and with good reason. You know, ESPN ranked him as high as the 6th best recruit in the class of 2024. And this is someone who brings a ton of versatility. He's 6'9". You can expect him to make an immediate impact for this team, going in as starting in that 4 position as a power forward. And he can be an elite rim protector with that size on the defensive end. Don't underestimate his abilities there. But then at the other end of the floor, too, he has those long strides to get to the cup, has also established a pretty good mid-range game, and in the senior year of high school, shot 30% from beyond the arc. So if he can even improve a little bit more from 3, all of a sudden, he's a threat really anywhere on the court offensively. It's a very exciting prospect to see the impact Donnie Freeman can make right away.
So Freeman teams up with fellow freshman Elijah Choppa Moore.
Yep.
But you also go to the transfer portal, and it wasn't just 1 or 2. A whole gaggle of transfer guys come into Syracuse to bolster this team under Autry. Who's the one that stands out?
Yeah, this is an easy choice for me, Andrew, and it's none other than the big man in Eddie Lampkin. He comes in from Colorado and has had meaningful experience throughout his college career. Began with 2 seasons at TCU before going to the Bison, now playing his final season at Syracuse, and he's exactly what Syracuse needed. He's 6'11", 265. He's that center, and a good center at that Syracuse was really lacking last season. So he brings that size, and what I love about him too is he sees himself as a pass-first big man. So he can distribute the ball, expect him to dish it out to the likes of Chris Bell and J.J. Starling beyond the arc, but make no mistake about it, he can also finish at the rim. And last season with a pretty good Colorado team, he had over 10 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, had a 21-point performance in March Madness, a stage Syracuse is hoping to get to. So again, that big-time experience he has already, I think will be crucial for the Syracuse team.
NCAA tournament experience, not something that many in Orange this year will be able to say. Sam, fantastic as always. You can catch Sam on Thursdays along with the whole Cuse Countdown crew breaking down Syracuse hoops coming up. Send us to break, Sam.
All right, coming up.
We've got Syracuse men's soccer and women's soccer coming up here on Citrus TV, along with field hockey. Men's soccer and field hockey both have work to do if they want to find themselves in the NCAA tournament. We'll tell you how the last week went down for these teams.
If you're buzzed and doing this, to make yourself feel okay to drive,
CWX.
you're not okay to drive.
YGKLVW. Regular you.
I don't think that many kids in my son's school even do it.
He makes fun of his friend who vapes.
He would never try it.
She's into soccer.
She's on the honor roll.
She's just not the type.
No way.
No way.
No way.
No way, my kid would never vape.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping. Maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Oh, hey, good to see you again. This is On the Bench. That's Andrew Selover, and I'm Ryan Bridges. You ever have those days, Andrew, where you just roll out of bed and everything is just peachy keen? You're just on a roll the whole day.
How about today? Every day in the world of Andrew Selover, we keep it rolling around here.
All right, well, that would be very indicative of the matchup between Syracuse men's soccer and UVA on Saturday night. Two teams coming in with winning streaks. Syracuse, 3 games in a row. Virginia, winners of their last 4. Certainly an exciting matchup. Let's take you out to Klockner Stadium in Charlottesville, a Saturday night that saw two teams rematching for the first time since Syracuse eliminated UVA in the ACC tournament quarterfinals. Early on, Syracuse trying to get on the board early. Andre Cutler de Jesus at the back post. The ball gets knocked out of the keeper, Joey Petroni's hands, but still stays 0-0, but not until this. How about this shot from Victor Okum, the center back, makes a run up the pitch and scores. It's 1-0 UVA early on in this contest. Another shot for the Orange, but Petroni all over that ball. He says, no, 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 I've got this one in my grasp, and UVA makes it 2-0 thanks to Joaquin Brizuela. That all happened, everything you just saw, in the first 15 minutes. Not much happened in the rest of the first half. UVA up 2-0. And then it's going to be Nick Dang scoring his sixth goal of the season, closing it out for Virginia. They cruise to a 3-0 victory. Not a lot of offensive output for Syracuse, Andrew, and a lot of that might have to do with one of their leading goal scorers from last season, Nicholas Kalukian. Hasn't had that same output. He's been, working, leading that front line, leading it as a 9 for Syracuse up top, but the same goal scoring just hasn't been there.
And I think it's easy for us, Ryan, to look back to 2 years ago when the men's soccer team won a national championship and compare the last 2 years since then to that 22 year and say, what are the differences? And in my eyes, it's Levante Johnson, Nathan Opoku. You had 2 clear goal scorers 2 years ago, and now it doesn't seem like you have any clear goal scorer this year.
Yeah, they haven't had the same roster that they had 2 years ago when they won that national championship. Kalukian's also been involved a lot more on the defensive end. He leads the press on that back line, and when you're overworking yourself on that defensive end, other midfielders have to step up and help you on the attack.
So Syracuse men's soccer is searching for offense, and for us here at Citrus TV, we've been searching for new ways to talk about this Syracuse women's soccer season, because for over a month, it's just been, well, the non-conference slate was okay for this Orange team. They handled business then, but they had lost 7 straight in the ACC. They had lost 7 straight on the season, and they were 0-for in ACC play headed into this week's contest against NC State. Good news for the Orange, though, facing the second worst team in the ACC, a Wolfpack squad that also winless in conference play so far, and they were coming into your house, both teams honoring breast cancer awareness, and 5 minutes in, Let's slow this down a little bit. Maya McDermott comes flying in. We're going to need to zoom in. We need to see that even closer. I think that caught a hand, Ryan. And after they took many looks, they had better views than we did. Handball in the box. Aaron Fleury capitalizes. 5 minutes in, Syracuse, who was struggling for offense all ACC long, gets courtesy of a PK. So the refs helped the Orange out. Syracuse defense would help lock down that score until halftime. Blythe Braun filling in for an injured Shea Vanderbosch, not tested in the first half. But the second half, a different story. You gotta clear it out of there. Inside the 6, Taylor Chisholm capitalizes. 30 minutes left to play, and we are all even. These two back and forth, nail biter down to the stretch. Close save as Kylan Grant forced it, but Syracuse cannot get the winner in the 90th minute there. The Orange draw, they pick up their first point of the season, and Blythe Braun filling in her first start in over a month, and the Orange use 9 saves from the goalkeeper to get back into the win column.
Yeah, and Blythe Braun has also had to step up as a leader. Shea Vanderbosch is obviously a great player, but when you're that goalie, you're at that back line, you have to be that anchor in the middle for Syracuse. But when it comes to Syracuse field hockey, there's been a clear divide between what the team has been able to accomplish this season. Against current top 10 squads like Ohio State, North Carolina, and Duke, SU has come up empty at 0-3. Against everybody else, how about 10-0? If history repeats itself, then the Orange's matchup against number 4 Virginia on Friday was going to be anything but easy. Another matchup between UVA. Let's see if field hockey can avenge men's soccer here. Orange going to be on the attack early in the second quarter. Pardon me. Bear Bakermans buries it into the goal. 1-0 Syracuse. That's how it would go into the halftime break. Little later on, a scrum in the box. Emma Wachilla finds her 5th score of the year. UVA ties it up at 1-1. A little bit later on in the third quarter, attacking penalty corner, Syracuse with the lead back, courtesy of Bo Von Kempen. She's been absolutely amazing for the Orange. 6 goals in the last 5 games. 4 minutes left, though. UVA trying to find the equalizer, and they do. Jans Kroon ties it at 2-2. We head into overtime. Skipping ahead, though, to double overtime. Bear Bakermans up to Aiden Drabick for the win, and it hits off the crossbar. That means penalty strokes in Charlottesville, tied 3-3. Mia Abello gets around the Syracuse defense and scores, and Virginia knocks off Syracuse, now 0-4 in top 10 matchups this season. And when it comes to the ACC standings, Syracuse falling in this heartbreaker can't seem to shake those top 10 teams. But if we take this national view and then shorten it down to the ACC, Syracuse has put itself right outside the upper echelon of the teams that they've been falling to. SU has already 3 losses with 1 game to go, while the entire four squads that are above them contain either 1 loss or are undefeated. They'll have to go on a run, beating several squads if they want to be having an ACC crown at the end of a season. All right, when we come back, we're going to have to talk about some 2 teams that had jam-packed schedules this weekend. Syracuse ice hockey and Syracuse women's volleyball, trying to change the tides of this season and last season. We'll tell you what we mean after the break.
So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream. That I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly. Just to come back in a new disguise. And be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
Back here on the bench. Andrew Selover, Ryan Bridges coming at you for the first time in a long time. And the last time we were on the set, Ryan Bridges put a volleyball right off the face of one Josh Solomon. It is time.
It's not a baseball.
I mean, you just spiked it right off his head. It is time to get to volleyball. Josh Solomon is injured. He's at home. He couldn't join us tonight. He is too scared.
He should have ducked his
of what
head.
happens
Now
when
that I
Ryan
think about
Bridges is in the studio with him. So we're going to go along, just the two of us, as we talk about this volleyball team. And we mentioned the tough numbers for Syracuse women's soccer. They weren't much better for the volleyball team. Also winless in ACC play, 0-6. And also their last win coming in the month of September 22nd to be exact, against Cornell. For the Orange, it was going to be a tougher week because they weren't facing the bottom of the ACC. They were facing the middle and upper echelons, and that began in the midweek against Miami. Let's see how Syracuse fared against the Hurricanes coming into the women's building. This one was tough from the get-go for the Orange, and it was all about how they could put away points. Syracuse could not do anything at the net against the Hurricanes. Kill percentage of 0.34, a negative kill percentage in the third set. Sloppy volleyball all the way around. 20 blocks for the Hurricanes. Third set was the closest at 25-22, but in the end, it was all Canes. Brought the Storms with them up north to Syracuse, and the Orange fall at 3-0. Not very good, Ryan.
No, not very good. Very indicative of what's been happening throughout the entire ACC season for Syracuse. They come in to this next match against Florida State, still winless in conference play. They seem to forget about it, though, on Sunday, Andrew. They're dancing around. They're having fun. It didn't translate to the first set. Syracuse fell 25-15. Couldn't get their hands on anything. FSU 4 blocks and the Orange with 0. But the second set, a lot closer for the Orange. There were 10 ties, 4 lead changes, and the Syracuse offense really relying on Ava Palm to get it done. When she's able to finish off those points, that really helps their defense as well. They fell in that set 25-22. They would go on to lose the third set as well. Struggles in ACC play. Josh Solomon has more on that.
It's been a tough stretch for Syracuse volleyball so far in ACC play. 8 games and 8 losses. Today, SU matched up against number 19 Florida State. It was the 4th time this season that the Orange have faced a ranked opponent, and unfortunately, all 4 times have ended in straight sets losses, including today against FSU. Although SU head coach Bakir Ganesharatnam, along with his players, have mentioned that the team's determination has kept them strong throughout this tough stretch.
As a whole, I think we're in a spot where we are much more experienced and much more mature now than we were 8 matches ago. You know, now it's up to us to capitalize from those experiences we made.
Like, we have that don't give up mindset. Like, during practice, we have that don't give up mindset too. Like, every single drill, like, it's gonna be hard. We're gonna have to push ourselves. We're all tired.
And in the end, that fire and that energy is what pushes us to exceed at like the highest level we can do. And we know it's all gonna, like, it's just gonna make it easier for us if we put that extra effort into that energy. And
let's see if Syracuse's positive morale can translate into its next match. I feel like I keep on saying it, though. ACC play doesn't get any easier, and that truly shows with SU's matchup on Wednesday. They take on UVA. Virginia is 15-3 on the season and 5-2 in the conference. First serve is right here at 7 on Wednesday. Reporting from the Women's Building, Josh Solomon, Citrus TV.
Thanks so much, Josh. But the Syracuse Orange, they're not the only team that's down in the cellar. A couple other teams really struggling against the ACC powerhouses, one of the best conferences, probably the best conference in volleyball. 1-7 Virginia Tech. Syracuse sees them twice more this year, and they also see Clemson once, Andrew.
Yeah, Virginia Tech coming up here as it's the week of Virginia. You get UVA and you get Virginia Tech. Hokies come on Sunday here to the Women's Building, so we'll see if the Orange can get a first ACC win of the year. You thought we wouldn't get to Josh Solomon. We were just keeping him out of the studio for his own precautions.
All right, thanks for that, Andrew. One thing we know is clear, though, The Orange at this current moment are outclassed in the ACC. It's also been tough sledding, or tough skating, I should say, for Syracuse women's ice hockey as of late. SU went 2-0 in its opening weekend of play, but despite being in close battles with RPI a few weeks back, the Orange fell by a goal in both contests. The next time SU laced up the skates was this weekend for a 2-game set with 10th-ranked Quinnipiac. Orange outside of the state of New York for the first time on the young season, down in Hamden, Connecticut, and Quinnipiac quickly showing why they are a class above Syracuse, a perennial NCAA tournament team. They get a goal very early on. Maddie Samskovich scores 12 minutes into the contest. It's 1-0 Quinnipiac, just like that. And continuing to show off the great skate work, here's Maya Labad getting through Syracuse defenders, firing, and she scores. Quinnipiac scored 3 goals in the span of 5 minutes. That helps out a lot when you have a 35-7 shot difference for this entire game. You see the numbers on your screen. It just gets worse and worse for Syracuse as the match goes on. Zoe Younes finishes this one off, and the Orange fall 4-0 in the first game on Friday.
What do they say about pucks on net, Ryan? That's how the Bobcats got it done in game 1. And we're staring right down the throat of the Bobcat to start game number 2 in Connecticut. Syracuse trying to bounce back, and they got on the board first in the second period. Riley McLeod switches the mojo up for the Orange, up 1-0. But Maya Labad was great in the first game, and she would stay great on the power play from the left point. Put it in. Quinnipiac takes back the lead before the end of the second period. Headed to the third, Orange chasing a goal, but they give up another power play, and Labad knows what to do with those. Woman up, and Quinnipiac strikes again. All QU in Connecticut. The Orange really struggling because Maya Labad was dominant. 0 for 2 on the road against the 10th-ranked team in the country. Bobcats get it done at home, and that continues the lengthy stretch for Syracuse women's ice hockey of trying to take down and failing to take down ranked teams. We can only show you so many on that screen. If we expanded it, it would date all the way back to 2019 when the Orange beat Robert Morris. So going back before the pandemic was the last time that Syracuse women's ice hockey took down a ranked opponent. They'll have a couple more chances, I would expect, this season, so we'll see if Cuse can flip the mojo later on this year. We're going to try and keep the mojo going as we wind out your 45 minutes of On the Bench coverage. Top performers, top plays of the week are next here at OTB.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Closing up shop here on OTB. Andrew, we just ran through all the games from the week. There was a theme. All losses except for one tie.
No wins. Goose egg.
That doesn't mean there weren't good individual performances, though. We've got 3 performers of the week, and we're going to start back on the ice rink. So a performer for Syracuse that stood out this weekend. How about Riley McLeod? Got the only goal for Syracuse of the weekend. It was on a 3-on-2 breakaway that you're seeing right here. She shoots from the circle and scores. The only bright spot for Syracuse, but someone who's a freshman come in, made an immediate impact, her second goal of the young season.
So McLeod on the ice, Syracuse couldn't quite get it done. The only team that got a result this week, Ryan, was Syracuse women's soccer, thanks in large part to a step in between the pipes. Blythe Braun filling in for the injured Shea Vanderbosch, and she maintained her undefeated stretch when playing in games this year. Just her 4th appearance of the year, her 3rd ever start this season for Syracuse, and she comes up with 9 saves to finish off a 1-1 draw against NC State. The one goal she did allow, really no chance whatsoever. She kept the Orange in it, and the Orange get points for the first time this season in ACC play.
The team that I think was closest, though, to getting a win this past week had to be the team that went to double overtime and then a penalty shootout. We got to go to the field hockey turf to take Bear Bakermans as our #1 performer of the week. A goal and an assist, first time she's done that this season. She's been a welcome addition in the midfield, came over from Delaware, had tons of experience and really added to this Orange team. 4 years, 60 games over there with the Hens, and she has been absolutely exceptional. Almost got Syracuse the win, but the Orange come up just short.
If only it just didn't hit the crossbar, and then that might have been a game winner in double overtime for Syracuse.
Very true.
And it certainly would be featured on this next segment we have for you here. It's the top plays of the week for Syracuse in sports this week, and let's get you kicked off here with the top plays. We'll give you 5 of them after a very tough week for Syracuse. Blythe Braun, we've already mentioned her plenty. Let's give her top save of the game a mention on top plays. Number 5, it falls to Blythe Braun's save in the 65th minute of what was a 1-1 game. Chopped back in the middle of the box, close effort, and Braun came off her line and stood the test. A brick wall back there for Cuse.
Syracuse did have some bright spots in the game against FSU on Sunday. One of them was right here, a good save by Veronica Searsant. They set it up for Ava Palm. There's a reason why she's one of the best hitters on the ACC and in for the Orange. You see Searsant save it right there. Harris Waddy tees it up. Ava Palm with the kill, a powerful one, but Syracuse falls in straight sets.
Let's head back to field hockey. Blue turf, you know it, you'll love it, down there in Charlottesville. Bear Bakermans, as if she hasn't gotten enough mention, backhander snipe into the side netting. I think they should get a teddy bear to celebrate anytime Bear Bakermans finds the back of the net, got the scoring started, and almost finished the scoring in Charlottesville in that double overtime shootout loss.
Bear buries it in the cage.
I see what you did there.
I like it. Another sport with a cage. We're going back to the ice. How about the save from Allie Kelly, the double save on the back door, that redirect shot, always tough to deal with. A Quinnipiac attacker right there. It doesn't matter for Kelly. Gonna slow it down one more time. Just gets that foot out there, traps the puck right on her skate.
All right, Ryan, that's pretty cool, but you know what's even better? This was a no doubt #1 play of the week. Watch closely here. Syracuse volleyball at home. Zaria Harris Waddy. Let's call it the face finish. Off the face, gets it back over the net, and she keeps it inside the line to win the point for Syracuse. It also finishes off our top plays of the week. You haven't seen one like that. That one's going all the way to the end of the semester when we have top plays of the semester. I can guarantee you that that play will be in there.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes those accidental plays can end up being, really the best ones. Man, it's interesting doing it on the bench when it's a Tuesday, but that Syracuse football normally on a Saturday, that game's coming up right around the corner, Andrew. What are you expecting?
I think Syracuse goes on the road. They get the job done in front of a hostile pit crowd on a Thursday night. Thursday night lights for you. Orange win.
One thing we'll know, CitrusTV will have all your coverage.
OTP.
We'll be back on the bench next week, but for now, your images of the week.
Here's Bordeaux with the shot, denied by Braun. kick for the Orange. It hit off the hand of Brianna Weber. Fleury from the spot. Buries it. And Syracuse goes up 1-0 less than 5 minutes in. Syracuse and NC State in a back and forth exhilarating match, and in a 1-1 draw